Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you something right now. When you touch a man's soul, not his body, not his ego, not his wallet, but his soul, everything changes. Because see, a man's soul is the deepest part of who he is. Most people never get that far. They see the surface, the jokes, the pride, the hustle, but they never get to the man underneath. But when a woman connects with a man on that deep level, when she sees his spirit instead of his image, 9 powerful things begin to happen. And trust me, once they start, ain't no turning back. When you touch a man's soul, you give him a kind of peace that no one else can offer. See, peace is something every man is chasing, but few ever find. Most men live their lives with noise in their heads. Expectations, pressure, fear of failure, responsibilities stacked so high they can't see the top. The world tells him to be strong, to keep pushing, to never show weakness. But deep down, he's tired. He's been carrying burdens that nobody even asks about. Then one day he meets someone who doesn't demand, doesn't pressure, doesn't compete. She just sees him, not the version he shows to the world, but the real man underneath, the one who's tired, uncertain, and human. That's when everything starts to shift. When a woman gives a man peace, she becomes his home. He stops running. He doesn't need to prove anything anymore because finally someone accepts him for who he is, not what he can provide. You'll notice how his energy changes when he's around that kind of woman. His shoulders drop a little lower. His laugh becomes deeper. His eyes soften. It's like the armor he's worn for years starts to come off. He can breathe again. And that right there is what makes a man fall. Peace, not perfection. A woman who touches a man's soul doesn't try to fix him. She understands him. She listens when the rest of the world is shouting. She respects his silence when he's not ready to talk. She doesn't turn his flaws into ammunition. She turns them into understanding. That kind of presence makes him feel safe. And let me tell you something, safety is rare for men. The world gives us challenges, but very few places of rest. When he finds that in a woman, it's priceless. It's not about constant attention or control. It's about calm energy, quiet confidence, and emotional maturity that says, you don't have to be perfect here. You just have to be real. Once a man feels that level of peace, his loyalty changes. He'll start protecting that peace like it's gold. He'll want to build around it, nurture it, and never lose it. You'll see him cut off drama he used to tolerate, stay away from people who drain him, and spend more time near the person who centers him. That's the power of touching a man's soul. It doesn't just make him love you, it helps him love himself better. He'll start to make better decisions, not because you told him to, but because your energy inspires him to. He'll handle conflict differently. He'll communicate with more patience, and he'll think before he reacts. Why? Because peace breeds clarity. When a man's spirit is calm, he sees the world more clearly. That's what you give him. A sense of direction through your presence alone. So when a woman touches a man's soul, she doesn't just change his mood, she changes his whole rhythm, His heartbeat slows, his words become softer, his mind gets clearer. Because now he's not fighting the world alone. He's walking through it with peace by his side. When you touch a man's soul, you awaken a version of him that he didn't even know existed. Every man has layers. Some he shows the world, and some he keeps buried deep inside where no one can reach. But when a woman connects with him on that deep, soulful level, she doesn't just see the surface. She sees his potential, his purpose, and his pain all at once. And that kind of vision changes him. It's not about fixing him or molding him into what she wants. It's about inspiring the greatness that was already there, but hidden under doubt, disappointment, and fear. When a man feels that kind of energy, he starts to transform from the inside out. He becomes more intentional, more grounded, more driven, not because he has to, but because he wants to be better for her, for himself, and for the future he now envisions. Men don't often get the space to grow emotionally. The world tells them to be strong, to figure it out, to keep moving. But when someone truly believes in a man, when she looks at him like he's already enough, while still reminding him that he can be more, that belief becomes fuel. He starts chasing his purpose with new fire. He starts dreaming again. The man who once doubted himself begins to move with confidence because finally someone saw what he could be even when he couldn't. That's a rare gift. You don't have to preach it or force it. It's in the way you talk to him, the way you believe in him, the way you stand by him when life tests him. That's how you touch a man's soul and bring out the man he was born to be. A woman who touches a man's soul doesn't need to push him to grow. Her presence does that naturally. Her energy calls him higher. He starts paying attention to his actions, his habits, and his choices. He becomes more aware of how he moves in the world because he's no longer living for temporary satisfaction. He's living with purpose. He wants to protect the bond he has to become the kind of man worthy of that kind of connection. You'll notice he starts planning differently, speaking differently, even walking differently. That's because his heart and his soul have finally aligned. He might not say it out loud, but he feels it deeply. He starts thanking God for you in his quiet moments, not because you gave him material things, but because you reminded him of his worth. You showed him that being loved doesn't mean being controlled. It means being seen. And once a man feels truly seen, he can't go back to the way he used to live. That's why when a woman touches a man's soul, she doesn't just inspire change, she creates it. He becomes softer but stronger, quieter but more confident, and humbler but more powerful. That's the beauty of soulful connection. It awakens the best version of a man, the one he always wanted to be, but needed the right woman to believe he could become. When you touch a man's soul, his priorities begin to shift in ways even he doesn't expect. See, before that deep connection, most men are driven by what the world tells them matters: success, status, money, admiration. He's focused on the grind, chasing recognition, trying to prove something to himself and everybody watching. But when a woman connects with his soul, She changes the meaning of fulfillment for him. Suddenly, it's not about showing off what he has, it's about protecting what he's found. He realizes that peace, love, and emotional security matter more than any car, title, or applause. He starts to think beyond the moment, beyond himself. That's what happens when love touches the soul. It rearranges his vision, his goals, and his heart. When a man feels that deep connection, he starts building instead of chasing. His energy no longer goes into temporary pleasures, it goes into building permanence. He starts thinking long term. He starts making decisions that reflect care, stability, and growth. The late nights that used to go to distractions now go to dreams. The money he used to spend on impressing people he doesn't care about now goes toward creating a future with someone who truly matters. He starts valuing time differently because he understands that true happiness isn't found in a crowd. It's found in that quiet space where love feels real and safe. You'll notice that his circle gets smaller. He stops entertaining unnecessary chaos. He no longer seeks validation from people who don't add peace to his life. That's the shift that comes with a soul connection, clarity. He starts seeing what deserves his energy and what drains it. He becomes more protective of his mental space because he knows peace is fragile and sacred. And when he finds a woman who brings that peace, he treats her like the rare gift she is. He also begins to redefine success. Instead of just thinking about personal wins, he starts thinking about shared victories. The word "we" starts to replace me. He begins to plan not just for his own future, but for the kind of life you could build together. He wants to provide, yes, but more importantly, he wants to be present. Because when a man's soul is touched, he learns that love isn't just about giving things, it's about giving time, attention, and emotional security. His dreams don't die, they just become more meaningful. They start including the people he loves. He wants to make memories, not just money. He wants to leave a legacy, not just an impression. And when that kind of transformation happens, it's not because he's lost himself, it's because he's finally found what's worth living for. A woman who touches a man's soul doesn't distract him from his mission. She helps him see it clearer. She gives purpose to his power, direction to his drive, and peace to his progress. And once that happens, he'll never see life or love the same way again. When you touch a man's soul, he begins to open up emotionally in ways he never thought he could. Most men grow up learning to hide their feelings, to put on a brave face, to act like nothing bothers them, even when everything does. They've been told crying makes them weak, that showing emotion is a sign of failure, that strength means silence. But when a woman reaches into a man's soul, she unlocks something powerful inside him, permission to be real. Suddenly, he finds himself saying things he's never said, feeling emotions he's long suppressed, and sharing thoughts he's kept buried for years. It's not because she forced him to open up, but because he finally feels safe enough to do it. That safety is everything. You can't fake it, and you can't demand it. It's something a man feels deep down. It's in the way she listens without judgment, in the way she doesn't rush to fix his pain, but sits quietly with him through it. It's in the way she makes him feel like his feelings matter, even when he doesn't have the right words to express them. When a man feels that kind of acceptance, his walls start to crumble. He doesn't just talk about his day. He starts talking about his fears, his regrets, his insecurities. He lets her see the side of him the world never gets to see, the boy who was hurt, the man who's still healing. That's when the connection deepens beyond words, beyond attraction, beyond the surface. And once he's opened that door, he can't close it again. He begins to understand that vulnerability isn't weakness, it's strength. It takes courage for a man to let someone into his inner world, to show his scars instead of hiding them. But the beautiful part is that when he does, it brings him even closer to the woman who made him feel safe enough to do so. His trust becomes sacred, his honesty becomes effortless, and his love becomes deeper, more genuine, and more protective. Because now he's not just loving from his head, he's loving from his soul. When a man opens up like that, his entire way of communicating changes. He stops bottling up emotions that used to explode later. He starts having real conversations instead of shutting down. He learns to express affection, to say, I miss you, or I appreciate you without fear. You'll notice his tone softens, his guard lowers, his eyes linger longer. That's what happens when emotional safety meets soulful connection. It heals him from the inside out. And once a man feels that kind of healing, he'll never forget who gave it to him. He'll value that woman not for what she does, but for who she is, for being the one who made him feel human again. Because deep down, every man wants to be understood, not just respected. And when a woman touches his soul, she gives him both the freedom to feel and the courage to be himself completely. When you touch a man's soul, he begins to protect your energy like it's a part of his own. It's not about control, jealousy, or possessiveness. It's about a deep spiritual awareness that your peace is now connected to his. When a man truly feels that soul-level bond, he doesn't see you as separate from him. He feels your emotions, senses your mood, and moves in ways that keep your heart safe. You become a reflection of his inner world, and the thought of you being hurt by life, by people, or by him becomes something he can't accept. That's when he begins to show up differently. He starts guarding you from negativity, not just through words, but through actions. He shields you from unnecessary stress, handles things before they reach you, and protects your spirit from anything that might drain you. It's not that he becomes your savior, it's that he recognizes your value and your energy as sacred. When a man's soul is touched, he starts to view your happiness as part of his purpose. Your smile becomes his peace, your laughter his reward. He pays attention to the little things, the way your tone changes when you're tired, the silence that means you're overthinking, the look in your eyes that says you need reassurance. He listens not just with his ears, but with his spirit. That's when love stops being something he says and becomes something he lives. He also becomes more intentional about his presence. He stops disappearing when things get hard. He doesn't avoid difficult conversations or let pride lead the way. Instead, he starts showing up with emotional maturity. He checks on you, not because he has to, but because he wants to know how you're really doing. He gives you space when you need it and comfort when you crave it. He's not trying to control your world. He's trying to protect the peace you both built together. That's how you know his love is rooted in soul connection, not ego. When a man reaches this point, even the way he speaks changes. His words carry care. His actions show consistency, and his silence holds meaning. He no longer reacts to you. He responds with understanding. He doesn't want to argue just to be right. He wants resolution. He doesn't want to win. He wants peace. Because now he knows that protecting your energy means protecting the love that keeps him grounded. And when he feels your spirit start to dim, when life wears you down, he steps up. He reminds you who you are. He pours belief back into you when doubt tries to take over. He becomes your safe space just as you became his. That's what a soul connection does. It teaches a man that love isn't just about passion. It's about protection. It's not about holding on tight. It's about holding with care. And when a man reaches that understanding, he doesn't just love you, he honors the energy that makes you you. When you touch a man's soul, you will see a kind of loyalty that words can't fully explain. It's not the kind of loyalty that comes from obligation or fear of losing you. It's the kind that grows naturally from deep respect and emotional connection. When a man's soul feels truly tied to a woman, everything about the way he moves starts to change. He no longer looks around for options or entertains distractions because he knows what he has is rare. He doesn't have to be told to stay faithful. His spirit already made that choice. When a woman touches a man at his core, she becomes part of his peace, and no man risks losing his peace for temporary pleasure. That's when loyalty becomes more than just a word. It becomes his nature. A loyal man doesn't have to announce it. You feel it in how he treats you. His consistency speaks louder than his promises. He's not perfect, but he's present. He communicates. He checks in even on the small things, not because he's supposed to, but because he genuinely cares. His actions start aligning with his words, and his reliability becomes his love language. You can sense that his mind, his time, and his heart are all centered around you. When a man's soul is touched, his priorities change. He doesn't chase attention anymore. He chases peace. And that peace lives in the bond he shares with you. You'll notice he becomes more protective of the relationship itself. He won't let outside opinions, jealousy, or ego poison what you've built together. If conflict comes, he'll want to fix it instead of escape it. He won't play games or try to prove a point. Instead, he'll show maturity, choosing understanding over distance, patience over pride. Because once a man's heart is loyal to you, he's not afraid of vulnerability. He's not afraid to say, "I'm sorry," or "let's make it right." He understands that love isn't a battlefield, it's a commitment. Even when life tests him, his loyalty remains. Temptation might cross his path, but it won't shake his foundation. His soul knows the difference between temporary attraction and a once in a lifetime bond. He values what's real, and he won't trade that for anything superficial. The peace he feels with you outweighs the thrill of something new. Because when a man is truly connected to a woman on a soul level, he doesn't crave variety. He craves depth. He wants to keep discovering her layers, learning her heart, and growing with her. And his loyalty doesn't stop at being faithful. It shows up in how he defends you, supports you, and honors you when you're not around. He speaks your name with pride, treats your love with care, and stands firm beside you when challenges arise. He becomes your teammate, your protector, your peace. That's the kind of loyalty a man gives when his soul is touched, not out of duty, but out of devotion. Because when a man finds a love that heals, strengthens, and centers him, he'll guard it for life.